Hello there, I'm Jack Jin, and today I'm going to teach you how to set up the Lumix G85 for filmmaking. And the first thing you want to do after you turn down the camera is to go to the menu and go to the third blue menu, as you can see here, and then click Reset, which is at the fifth out of sixth menu right there. You want to go to Reset and then just reset all of these settings. So make sure to click yes for all three options that pop up. And now let's go down to the first motion picture menu, which also you can just touch the display to get there. And now let's change the photo style first. So we want to change it from standard to natural. And let's change the sharpness and the noise reduction to -5. So now it's set. Let's go down. And we're going to change the exposure mode to M, which stands for manual. And I'm going to teach you how to expose the camera's footage later on. And the record quality should be 4K 24 FPS. And now let's go down. Make sure to not change any of these settings, especially something like eye dynamic and eye resolution, because these are very artificial looking settings that just it does very little to improve your footage, and it just looks horrible. And let's go down. And now you want to turn on mic level display. This shows how loud your audio is. So if it's red like that, you want to make sure that the person who's speaking will be a bit quieter. And now let's turn down the mic level adjustment to -12, because that creates the least amount of noise in the audio. And now we want to go down to wind noise canceller and turn it off. So the second menu here, we're just going to go down to peaking, and then let's go down to set. Now detect level, make sure it's low. And I know it sounds counterintuitive, but the low setting actually means that the peaking is more sensitive, and I'll show you what it does later. So let's go back. And guidelines, you'll want to choose the first setting. And you'll want to turn on shoot without lens on. And let's go down to the next setting. Let's see if there's anything you would change here. Oh yes, live view mode should be changed to 30 FPS, and that's about it. And so now I'm going to teach you how to expose and manually focus the footage from this camera. And now, as you can see, the footage is very, very dark. So what you want to do when you're recording 4K 24 FPS is always to keep the shutter speed at 1/50th. And if you want to change the shutter speed, it's the first dial on the camera. So, or you can just experiment the two dials. The first dial changes the shutter speed, and always keep it at 1/50th no matter what. And now, if it's too bright, like right now, you can just simply use the second dial to turn the aperture to a higher number, which stands for basically makes your footage darker. And now, if it's too dark, like at 6.3, we will want to turn it back on until it looks just right in terms of how bright it is. And now let's change the ISO. Let's say, even after you do all of these, it still seems a bit too dark. You can bump up your ISO. Now 400 basically looks the same as ISO 200. 800, as you can see, also makes your footage looks brighter. But that is the point where you start to see a bit of artifacts or noise in your image. 1600 is the maximum I would like to go. If it's still dark, then you can somewhat go to 3200, but let me warn you, the ISO 3200 footage does not look pretty. So let's go back down. So basically that's how you expose. And now what you want to do when you start to record a video with a static object like interview is first you tap on the person's or object's face, and then you autofocus, and then you make sure to switch it to manual focus. By the way, the the manual focus is MF. You can see from the dial that's right beside the viewfinder that have the AFS, AFC, and MF dial. So after you touch the person's face, autofocus, you can just simply switch it to MF, and now it should just work. But if your object is moving, then just keep it at AFC. But normally you want to keep it at MF because this camera has pretty bad autofocus. So again, for most situation, you want to keep it at MF. So just tap on the object's face or whatever, autofocus before you record, switch it to MF, and then record. By the way, I have no memory card, so I can't record for now. And something else you would like to do is to set your white balance. So what you do is you use the first dial, and as you can see from the first dial, there's a little button on top. So you click it, and the second dial is the one you use to switch white balance. So you can just make sure to do it quickly because it will disappear. So just change the white balance to sunny if you're shooting outside, cloudy if it's cloudy, and if you're indoors, I recommend to find a piece of white paper and then go to the custom one setting, and then click select white balance and take a picture of that white paper. If that doesn't work out, however, you can still use the automatic white balance. And now if you want to change ISO, again, it's the same button that's on the first dial, on top of the first dial. You click it, and it's the first dial that you change the ISO. So if you can tell, the first dial changes the ISO, and the second dial changes the white balance. Normally you want to make sure the white balance is always in some sort of setting, not in auto white balance, especially outside. If sunny white balance and cloudy white balance works out for you and it looks natural, it looks like what your eyes see in that situation, then you should use these settings. And normally indoors you want to try out the custom white balance setting by find a white piece of paper and then take a picture of that white piece of paper so you get the correct white balance. But if that doesn't look good, then just switch back to auto white balance. So yeah, that's something you should remember as well.